Alright, disclaimer. This is a personal YouTube channel. Any views or opinions represented in this YouTube channel are personal and solely belong to me as the owner and do not represent those people, organizations, or institutions that I or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or any individual. Alright, so for this afternoon, we will be discussing the continuation of Unit 2, which is the methodological aspects of EIA, focusing on impact prediction. So, of course, first, what is impact prediction? Alright, so impact prediction, its main objective is to identify the magnitude, or let us say, what is the veracity of the impact of the project or activity that you will be doing in your specific project or specific area. And of course, the other dimensions of an effect or change in an environment with a project or action in comparison with the situation without the project or the action or the activity itself. That is why, again, baseline information is very important as a reference point in your EIA study. So prediction involves the identification of potential change and indicator of such environmental receptors, in which, at the same time, prediction establishes the cause. How come my it's not moving? All right. So prediction, of course, establishes the cause-effect relationship between project action and environmental component. That is why we always try to think and predict as to what is the future impact or what will be the impact of our project or our study. And at the same time, we have to think as our project or activity as the cause and its possible effect. May it be in the future after 5 or 10 years, or may it be a direct effect after the study or after the project has been established. At the same time, predictions also provide the basis for the assessment of significance of impact. Because as what we discussed on the previous meetings, there are impacts that are not really significant, or let us say, it's how do you call this? It could be, I should say, neglected because its impact is not that adverse or its impact is minimal, in which these indicators need to be disaggregated and specified to provide variables that are measurable and relevant. So, for example, for economic impact, we have to check the direct employment that would relate to local employment, and of course, local skilled employment, whatever it is, this let us say, what I would say, for example, specific example, you will be building in our case, we will be building the EBSU College of Medicine, for example. Of course, as we are, let us say, EIA study, let us say, we are still doing the EIA study. Of course, we will consider the construction of the building per se. Of course, in one way or another, we will, well, it actually depends on the contractor, but basically, in one way or another, we can have a direct impact on the employment. May it be the contractors will hire construction workers that are living near the area, or they may not. It actually depends on, realistically, it depends on the contractor. But let us say, in one way or another, let us put an assumption that the contractor will be hiring people that are living near the area, construction workers that are living in the area. So that is considered as a direct employment. And then at the same, and the next point is, it is also considered as a local employment because the establishment of the project is on the locality, and the construction workers that were hired are also people that are living on the locality. And at the same time, they are also considered as local skilled employment because they were hired specifically on the basis of their skill. So that's an example of an impact prediction, specifically on economic impact. Predictions should also identify distinction between magnitude and significance of impact, in which um, when we say magnitude and significance, it's more of a change may be high or but below the standards. That is why during the EIA study, there are predictions that we have to quantify as to what is the veracity of magnitude and its significance. For example, um, this might not relate directly to the EVSU building, but let us say you are going to build a dam. Um, um, I take it back. Let us say you are going to build um, a poultry, a building that you will a building that you will be in housing your poultry business. So if we are going to read the Dow 30 2003, there is actually a standard on the quality of water. Let us say after 5 years, there has been an effect um, of your poultry business to the water quality of wells and the nearest barangay of wherever is your area is located. There has been a change of water quality, and people are identifying that the cause of it is actually your poultry business because of your um, wastewater, let us say. Um, based on your reference, based on your baseline information, on your water quality baseline information, you can say that there is a difference. There is a difference as to the water quality before the project started and after 5 years that your project started. So you identify that there is a change. However, though there was a change, and though let us say statistically it has a significant difference, okay, but based on the standards of water quality, it is still below the standards. Therefore, the water is still acceptable for, let us say, daily use. So that is why we have to define or distinct as to what could be or what will be the prediction or the impact prediction of our project. Because again, the effect or the impact might be high. However, it is still considered as below the standards. Therefore, it could still be accepted or it is still on an acceptable level. And then prediction of magnitude impacts is objective. So when we say objective, there are bases. Whereas determination of significance is more of subjective exercises or exercise at a as it normally involves value judgments. That is why, just like my example to you, after 5 years of your poultry business, there was a significant difference on the water quality, which is your reference point is the baseline information of the water quality, and then your water quality after 5 years. There is a significant difference subjectively based on statistics. However, objectively based on the water quality standards, it is still below the standards. Therefore, the water is still acceptable for daily use. So again, magnitude of impacts is objective, that which is based on standards, and significance is more of subjective exercise. So other dimensions of predictions, we have geographical extent impacts. For example, we have local, provincial, and national. We also have beneficial or adverse because there are impacts that are beneficial and there are impacts that are adverse. So it could negatively affect the community or the environment itself. At the same time, there are projects which is on the category 4. There are projects that would enhance the ecosystem, or it's an enhancement project that would contribute to a betterment of the ecosystem per se. So in which therefore that kind of project is beneficial. And its impact prediction is of course, since it's category 4, should also be beneficial. Of course, we have to consider also duration of impacts. It could be short, it could be long. There could be impacts of a certain project or a certain activity that might not be experienced on, like for example, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th year, but on the succeeding like 6th to 10th year, that is the time that the impact will be experienced. Of course, the rate of change, it could be abrupt and gradual. So the changes, when we say abrupt, like suddenly everything changes. When we say gradual, it's like slowly and slowly there is a change, or slowly and slowly there is an impact of your project to a specific area or to that specific area. And then there are also effects or adverse impacts that are permanent and reversible. When we say permanent, um, permanent means permanent. There are possible cases that it can be reversed, but it would take time, or I would say it would take geologic time. And when we say reversible, there are impacts that we can still find ways to mitigate, or we can still find ways to rehabilitate. At the same time, there are also predictions, impact predictions that are cumulative. When we say cumulative, um, for example, what could be an specific example to cumulative? When we say cumulative, it adds up. So, for example, the impact um, of the project today is, let us say, going back to the example of poultry business impacting the water quality of the nearby barangay wells. When we say cumulative, like after 5 years, its effect is, let us say, um, the water quality was degraded for like about 20%. Let us say 20%. And then after 3 years, the water quality was degraded into an additional of 10%. In which after 6 years, um, the cumulative water quality degradation of water quality uh, resulted to 60%. Did I say 60%? So let us say 20 and then plus 20, that's 40%. And then another year, another 20%. So let us say on the 7th year, the water quality degradation rate resulted to 60%. So it's cumulative. It's an addition on top of another impact. So cumulative. I hope I explained that. Next is, of course, unit of measurement, um, quantitative and qualitative. When we say quantitative, we are quantifying. When we say qualitative, it's more about on the quality. Like, for example, um, um, for example, we will go to the social science aspect of the impact of the project. For example, we are going to ask people after 10 years as to what is the positive impact of the project. So we can ask them, since we are asking them, for example, through a survey questionnaire, and choices would be strongly, let us say, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, then that is considered as a qualitative unit of measurement. When we say quantitative, um, there is a specific quantity. For example, in parts per million. For example, for water quality, um, amount of nitrogen should be in percentage, and so on and so forth. When we say quantitative, it's in quantity, and there is a specific number um, to the certain unit of measurements. When we say estimates the probability that impacts will occur, then therefore we will be using a probability index, or we will be using we can use actually a statistical model to that, as to the probability index of a certain effect of or not effect. I should use word impact. We can actually use a statistical model in predicting as to what is the probability that a certain impact will occur on a certain project, or on a certain from a certain project. And then we have four approaches to impact prediction.